Delhi, you're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Kurana, coming up in the next hour. No respite in the tariff war inside as allies and others hit back at US with countermeasures. Trump warns of retaliatory tariffs, says US will win the financial battle with EU. Arab leaders signal readiness to continue consultations on the Gaza plan with the US as the foundation for the reconstruction efforts. Trump says nobody expelling Palestinians from Gaza. G7 foreign ministers discuss Ukraine as US negotiators head to Moscow for a ceasefire. Kremlin says awaiting details of a US-Ukrainian proposal agreed this week. Pakistan military ends train standoff, claims to neutralizing all 33 attackers, says 27 soldiers also killed in the operation. And on to the top story this hour. US President Donald Trump on Wednesday vowed to respond to the European Union's threat to impose counter tariffs on 26 billion euros worth of US goods from next month after Trump implemented blanket tariffs on steel and aluminium imports. At the start of a meeting with Irish Prime Minister Michelle Martin in the Oval Office, Trump said Ireland, a member of the European Union, was among countries taking advantage of the United States.
The European Union treats us very badly. They have for years. I saw that. I had it out with them in my first term. It did well, but we had to solve other problems, and we did. But European Union's been very tough, and it's our turn too. You know, we get a turn at that also. But they have not been fair. They sue our companies and win massive amounts of money. They sued Apple, won $17 billion.
I understand fully where the president is coming from. I think there's actually room. Now we can discuss all this. I think there's room for those companies to grow in America, and many of them, by the way, have already announced fairly significant manufacturing investments now.
It's true.
Well, the global tariff war escalated this week as President Trump imposed a sweeping 25% tariffs on steel and aluminium imports, further fueling tensions. The move, part of Trump's broader trade strategy, has sparked immediate backlash from key trade partners, including the EU, China and Canada. As retaliations loom, countries like the UK and Australia have expressed their concern. DD India's Mehin Maikuri has more on this.
The global tariff war escalated further on Wednesday as sweeping 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports imposed by US President Donald Trump came into effect. This move marks the latest chapter in Trump's broader tariff strategy designed to even out perceived trade imbalances and revive domestic industries.
The tariffs are having a tremendously positive impact. They will have, and they are having. We have car companies that are not building in Mexico now. They're building in the United States. Some of them, the plants were already started and they stopped construction. And now they're going to build in the United States.
Trump's decision was met with immediate and fierce backlash from two of Washington's biggest trade partners, China and the European Union. Both vowed to retaliate, asserting their intent to defend their economic interests in response to the new tariffs.
As the United States are applying tariffs worth $28 billion, we are responding with countermeasures worth 26 billion euros. Our countermeasures will be introduced in two steps, starting with April 1st and fully in place as of April 13th.
In the UK, Prime Minister Keir Starmer expressed disappointment over Trump's latest tariffs, adding that the government would consider all options in response.
On the question of tariffs, obviously, like everybody else, I'm disappointed to see global tariffs in relation to steel and aluminium. But we will take a pragmatic approach. We are, as he knows, negotiating an economic deal which covers and will include tariffs if we succeed, but we will keep all options on the table.
Australia, another key US ally, also condemned the tariffs as not a friendly act, although it refrained from imposing any reciprocal tariffs. After initially announcing plans to double tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from Canada to 50%, Trump reversed his decision on Tuesday, sparking confusion in the financial markets. The shift followed a similar retreat by a Canadian official who had previously considered imposing a 25% surcharge on electricity exports from Ontario to the United States. Canada also announced additional tariffs on $20.7 billion worth of US goods, including computers and sports equipment, in retaliation against American levies on Canadian steel and aluminum. These Canadian tariffs will come into effect on Thursday. The imposition of steel and aluminum tariffs presents a risky gamble. While it could provide a boost to America's domestic industries, it may simultaneously increase costs for manufacturers who rely on these materials, potentially raising prices for consumers. Mihir Makri's report for DD India.
Well, the Trump administration is poised to eliminate environmental justice offices which address pollution in low-income and minority communities. The move, confirmed by Administrator of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Lee Zeldin, will impact 10 regional offices and headquarters. Zeldin cited concerns that environmental justice initiatives have funded left-wing activist groups. Environmental groups have condemned the decision, arguing it will leave vulnerable communities without support. The move reverses former President Joe Biden's environmental justice efforts, including the Justice 40 initiative. Well, the EPA also announced cuts to 400 grants totaling $1.7 billion and plans to slash its budget by 65%. The decision has sparked outrage, with critics accusing the administration of prioritizing polluters' profits over public health. And amid the tariff war, incoming Prime Minister Mark Carney visited a steel plant in Hamilton, Ontario on Wednesday. Canada is the biggest foreign supplier of steel and aluminium to the United States. The retaliatory tariffs are on top of those on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods Canada initially imposed on March 4th in response to broader tariffs from Trump. And India correspondent Jessica Taneja joins us from New Delhi or more on this. Well, Jessica, with Trump now warning EU on retaliatory tariffs, what impact could this escalating tariff war have on the global trade relations?
If you've seen the reports so far, and the reactions from all the leaders seem to be consistent when it comes to not being able to accept the terms of these tariffs, which we've seen in the past. We've seen a similar tariff imposition in 2018 as well. And of course, it's slightly more different than what we saw in the past, with much more effort and with much more force, trying to cut across concessions when it comes to these tariff wars that have now been initiated just beyond America's borders now, and perhaps the more contentious one being next door with Canada. And with the way the report suggests, and now Mark Carney, the new Canadian Prime Minister at the helm of affairs, would certainly have a lot at hand when it comes to how to deal with this entire escalation of tariffs. And of course, quick policy changes also tend to confuse the markets quite a bit. And you've seen how the markets performed just last week, and even a few days ago, the S&P 500 was down 8%. And if you look at what happened to FTSE 100 as well, it was down 2% just a few days ago. And various indices across the world are not performing well at this point, and stock markets are being affected worldwide. Because of understanding of what the end game, or what really would the tariffs really be able to achieve at the end of it all. Because with the way it's working, it's not only hurting the US economy at this point, although not reaching to the level of recession or contraction. Those reports also emerged, which were, of course, then replied to or responded to by the president, along with his Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, saying that no, that is not the trajectory the American economy or the global economy would be headed toward. But with the way these tariffs are working, it doesn't seem to position or picture America's way of transaction and trade deals in a light where it would bring in inflation, which it would have an impact on jobs. And
Right.
the larger question then remains: the entity that you're trying to protect would then be harmed, or with these kind of retaliations, or is it something that this little period of transition, as the Trump administration say, would it continue?
Right, Jessica, the big question remains what the tariffs are going to achieve. And with countries like UK and Australia expressing concerns, how do you anticipate their role in the global trade conflict now evolving? And could we see them taking further action in response to the US tariffs?
Well, there have been various adjustments made to the transatlantic partners and their relationship in the recent past. So it's far too premature to comment on a lot of how this sort of would look at the end. But from what we do know and the reports suggesting right now and the reactions that has come from be it the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, or be it Mark Carney, or the European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen, they have pretty much indicated that retaliation is what every leader and every region is pretty much considering. Above all, every country looks after its national interest. Every leader and every political party back home also has to reduce inflation, especially if we talk about the UK. It's been a tough time and for the country in the last, a decade or so. They've seen transitions one after another. Political parties and elections take place quite often. The 10 Downing Street has been a revolving door until Keir Starmer won the elections, and also his cabinet is facing a lot of trouble right now when it comes to coming up with economic reforms. And then you have this additional problem of tariffs, which are going on the uptick, and especially the sectors of steel and aluminum, which tend to then affect jobs not only in America but worldwide as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jessica, for all those details. And moving on, Arab foreign ministers met in Qatar on Wednesday with U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff to discuss reconstruction for Gaza. They agreed to continue consultations and coordination on the plan as a foundation for the reconstruction efforts. Foreign ministers from Qatar, Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and the Secretary General of the Palestine Liberation Organization were present at the meeting. On Saturday, the 57-member Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, formally adopted a plan put forward by the Arab League at an emergency meeting in Saudi Arabia. The Egyptian spearheaded plan emerged as a proposal to rebuild the Gaza Strip under the future administration of the Palestinian Authority in response to a proposal by the US President Donald Trump to take over Gaza and displace its residents. Well, the plan by Arab nations has been rejected by both Israel and its key ally, the United States, but has been endorsed by Britain, France, Germany and Italy. A fresh round of talks on a ceasefire in Gaza also began in Qatar on Tuesday, with Witkoff dispatched to Doha for the mediations. Meanwhile, replying to a question in the White House, US President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that nobody is expelling any Palestinians from Gaza. Previously, he said that all Palestinians should be removed from Gaza.
He's expelling any Palestinians. I don't know. We talk about everything. Israel has been under siege, as you can see, and they had to fight back. October 7th was a terrible thing. People don't like to mention it, but it was a terrible, terrible day in the life of the world.
Well, US President Donald Trump hosted Irish Prime Minister Michelle Martin on Wednesday. Both the leaders participated in the traditional shamrock presentation at an early St. Patrick's Day celebration. During the event, Trump celebrated the enduring bond between Ireland and the United States, paying tribute to notable figures of Irish descent. While Martin praised Trump's active efforts towards achieving peace in Ukraine and West Asia, Martin said aid needed to be surged into Gaza, while also calling for a ceasefire and the release of all remaining hostages.
I understand fully where the president is coming from. I think there's actually room. Now, we can discuss all this. I think there's room for those companies to grow in America, and many of them, by the way, have already announced fairly significant manufacturing investments now.
It's true.
Well, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, who joined Trump and Martin in the Oval Office, also hosted the Irish leader at his vice presidential residence for a breakfast. And still to come on DD India News Hour. French Parliament adopts resolution in support of Ukraine. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is set to arrive on a 4-day official visit to Bangladesh. SpaceX delays crew launch to ISS, postponing return of US astronauts due to hydraulic issue.
What is more important, fixing the present or planning for the future? Innovators across the globe rethinking the way we live to secure a better future for us.
I found out about the Rahi trade-in scheme. I went to the agency and discovered that I could receive a subsidy for this e-rickshaw.
We basically mirror that same process, but instead of water for one of our solutions, we use blocks, powering about 35,000 homes.
Our goal is to send a message that it's important to fight for better urban air quality, and I think Liquid 3 sends that message.
We prepare fish amino acid by mixing the fish waste with jaggery. It is also an excellent organic fertilizer for plants and trees.
We're moving from the lab stage to industrial scale production. We still have a few challenges to deal with, but we've seen that it works.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Kuran, and moving on. G7 foreign ministers meet in Canada to address Russia-Ukraine war, while U.S. Secretary Marco Rubio dismisses concerns about a potential U.S. takeover of Canada. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio arrived in Canada ahead of a G7 meeting, marking the first visit by U.S. officials since President Donald Trump's return to power. Rubio emphasized that the meeting will prioritize pressing global issues such as the Ukraine conflict rather than addressing Trump's contentious remarks about annexing Canada. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is attending alongside representatives from the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Japan and the European Union. Russia has presented the U.S. with a list of demands for a deal to end its conflict against Ukraine. The meeting comes amid trade tensions between the U.S. and Canada, with Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly vowing to raise tariffs at every meeting. Rubio acknowledged trade tensions, however, have emphasized a shared interest between the U.S. and Canada. And U.S. President Donald Trump's administration is pushing for a ceasefire in the Ukraine conflict with a proposal for a 30-day halt to hostilities. But with Russia's history of resistance, the outcome of the diplomatic effort remains uncertain. More on this report by DD India's Antara Sinha.
U.S. President Donald Trump expressed optimism that U.S. negotiators could secure a ceasefire with Russia in the Ukraine conflict. Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff is set to meet with Russian officials in Moscow.
We've got Ukraine done, and as you know, I've always said that Ukraine might have been the more difficult party. You were here a week ago when some interesting things happened. I had somebody that didn't seem to want peace. Now he's agreed to peace. So we'll see what happens.
The U.S. seeks an unconditional halt to hostilities, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio emphasizing the commitment with no strings attached. While Kremlin did not indicate willingness to stop fighting despite the devastating humanitarian toll, it said that it was awaiting the details of the US-Ukrainian proposal for 30-day ceasefire in the conflict with Russia that was agreed upon this week. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed his country's readiness to accept a ceasefire deal, noting the US is willing to take strong action if Russia refuses. The US has warned of devastating sanctions if Russia rejects the proposal. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin donned military fatigues for a surprise visit to troops in Russia's Western Kursk region on Wednesday, where he ordered them to press their lightning advance and swiftly retake the rest of the area from Ukrainian forces.
Our task is in the nearest future, in the shortest possible time, to completely defeat the enemy who has dug in on the territory of Kursk region and is still conducting military operations here. To completely liberate the territory of Kursk region, to restore the situation along the state borderline. And of course, we need to think. I would ask you to think about the future and the creation of a security zone along the state border. We need to think about this too.
Russia has claimed to have made significant new advances against Ukrainian forces in Kursk. The Russian army had taken control of 5 settlements in Kursk and 2 settlements in Donetsk region over the past day. The international community is closely watching the developments, with European defense ministers meeting in Paris to discuss supporting Ukraine. The US-Ukraine proposal marks a significant diplomatic effort. However, the outcome remains uncertain due to Russia's history of intransigence. Antara Sinha for DD India.
Meanwhile, members of the French National Assembly adopted a resolution on strengthening support for Ukraine, including a call to seize the frozen Russian assets, which the government opposes. France has until now voiced opposition to seizing frozen Russian assets, arguing that such a move would be against international agreements in a stance that puts Paris at odds with its ally Britain. An amendment proposal by several members of parliament, including former Prime Minister Gabriel Attal, suggested going even further by using Russia's assets to strengthen Europe's defense capabilities. And Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei on Wednesday rejected holding negotiations with the United States over a nuclear deal. On Friday, U.S. President Donald Trump said he had sent a letter to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei urging negotiations and warning of possible military action if Iran refused. Well, the letter was handed over to Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on Wednesday by Anwar Gargash, diplomatic advisor to the President of the United Arab Emirates. Also in 2018, Trump withdrew the U.S. from Tehran's 2015 nuclear deal with world powers and reimposed sanctions that have crippled Iran's economy. Well, Tehran reacted a year later by violating the deal's nuclear curbs. Khamenei reiterated that Iran was not seeking a nuclear weapon and that the U.S. invitation for talks was aimed at deceiving the world's public opinion.
In negotiations, one must be certain that the other party will honor its commitments. When we know they won't follow through, what is the point of negotiating? Therefore, the invitation to negotiate and the expression of willingness to do so is merely a deception of public opinion. If the goal of negotiations is to untie the knot of sanctions, then negotiating with the US administration will not achieve that. In fact, it will only tighten the knot.
Well, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is set to arrive on a 4-day official visit to Bangladesh to witness the Rohingya refugee camps situation. This visit is expected to strengthen international efforts to mobilize increased food aid for the Rohingya refugees and to accelerate efforts to resolve the Rohingya crisis. Well, the UN Secretary General will have a meeting with the head of the interim government, Dr. Mohammed Yunus, on Friday. From there, they will go to Cox's Bazar in the same flight to visit the Rohingya situation at the camps. They also will have an iftar with the Rohingya people there. And UN resident coordinator in Bangladesh, Gwen Lewis, said will discuss the Rohingya situation and international cooperation in this regard. And for more, Naval Singh Parmar joins us on the phone line from Dhaka. Well, Naval Singh, a UN Secretary General set to arrive on a 4-day official visit to Bangladesh. How do you think this visit will impact the ongoing humanitarian response in the Rohingya refugee camps? And are there any specific outcomes expected from the meeting between the UN Secretary General and Dr. Mohammed Yunus? Can you hear me, Naval Singh? I think we lost connect with him.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes. I am now. It is audible. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you repeat questions?
Yes, I wanted to ask you that the UN Secretary General is visiting Bangladesh. How do you think this visit will impact the ongoing humanitarian response in the Rohingya refugee camps? And are there any specific outcomes which are expected from the meeting between the UN Secretary General and Dr. Muhammad Yunus?
Well, the situation of the Rohingya refugee here in Bangladesh is very critical, as they are here in Bangladesh since 2017. Earlier, in first phase, around 6 lakhs Rohingya Muslims from the Myanmar crossed border to Bangladesh from Myanmar's Rakhine province, and they took shelter in refuge in Bangladesh, fearing the prosecution in the ethnic clash in Myanmar. They were having a health crisis, educational crisis, as well as employment crisis. But nowadays, the situation become very grim as they are now facing the food crisis. In recent time, US aid and United States stopped some funding to the US aid, and that affected the UN funding capacity. Last week, UN expressed its concern and warned Bangladesh authority that they will be forced to cut per month per person food aid from $12.5 US dollar to $6, and that is very serious matter for the 13 lakhs Rohingya Muslims who are taking refuge here in Bangladesh. And in this scenario, the visit of UN Secretary General is very important, and there is expectation from Bangladesh side as well as from UN agencies side that the Dr. Yunus as well as Antonio Guterres, Secretary General, will appeal the world community to donate more fund to UN agencies so they can continue the food aid to the Rohingya crisis. Forget about the other facilities and other things. There is a heavy malnutrition. The last 2 days before the report came, that malnutrition cases increased 27% in February compared to last year, this February. Yeah. So situation is very grim, and as Bangladesh also passing through the socio-political crisis, and there is a law and order issues in Bangladesh, and that has created economic crisis for Bangladesh, and Bangladesh economy is also passing through the grim phase.
Right, the situation is very grave there indeed. Naval Singh, thank you so much for all those details. And moving on, Pakistani security forces stormed a train hijacked by separatist Baloch gunmen, killing all 33 attackers and ending a 30 hours standoff with hundreds of hostages. More than 340 train passengers taken hostage by BLA, a militant group fighting for the rights of Baloch people, were freed by security forces after a 30-hour siege. According to AFP, Pakistani army officer confirmed that 27 off-duty soldiers were shot by militants. Pakistan security forces launched a rescue mission on Tuesday afternoon after a separatist group bombed a railway track in mountainous southwest Balochistan and stormed a train with around 450 passengers on board. The 27 slain soldiers had been traveling on the train as passengers. One on-duty soldier was killed in the clearance operation. The Baloch militants attacked the Jafar Express with a bomb and rocket fire on Tuesday while it was traveling from Quetta to Peshawar. Balochistan is a restive province in Pakistan which has witnessed armed revolt against what Baloch calls an oppressive regime, alleging grave human rights abuses by the Pakistani army against the locals, which have been fighting for a separate homeland for many decades. And moving on, SpaceX postponed the launch of a replacement crew to the International Space Station, delaying the return of US astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams, who have been stranded for 9 months due to problems with Boeing's Starliner. The launch was called off due to a hydraulic issue with the Falcon 9 rocket's ground support clamp arm. NASA announced that the next available launch opportunity is Thursday evening, with the Thursday Crew 10 launch to blast off from the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral. The Crew 9 mission would depart the space station on 17th of March. The crew will have 2 US astronauts and 1 astronaut each from Japan and Russia. NASA advanced the mission by 2 weeks after US President Trump and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk pushed for an earlier return of Wilmore and Williams. And still to come, DD India News Hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi wraps up a two-day visit to Mauritius. We'll tell you all the details related to it. US congressional briefing highlights human rights violations against minorities in Pakistan. And preparations for Asia's largest tulip garden underway in Srinagar.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Moving on, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrapped up a landmark two-day visit to Mauritius on Wednesday. It has seen the two nations elevate their ties to an enhanced strategic partnership and inking 8 pacts ranging from maritime security to trade in each other's currencies. Prime Minister Modi thanked his Mauritian counterpart, Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramagulam, the people and government of the island nation for the warmth.
तो 40 करोड़ भारतीयों की ओर से मैं मॉरिशस के सभी नागरिकों को राष्ट्रीय दिवस की हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं।
I am pleased to confer upon you, Excellency Sri Narendra Modi, the National Award of Grand Commander of the Order of the Star and Key of the Indian Ocean.
I accept this award with humility and gratitude. This is not just my honor. It is the honor of 1.4 billion Indians. पीपल टू पीपल संबंध हमारी भागीदारी को मजबूत नींव प्रदान करते हैं। भारत और मॉरिशस का संबंध केवल हिंद महासागर से ही नहीं बल्कि हमारी साझी सांस्कृतिक परंपराओं और मूल्यों से भी जुड़ा है। हम आर्थिक और सामाजिक प्रगति की राह पर एक दूसरे के साथी हैं। रक्षा हो या शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य हो या स्पेस, हम हर क्षेत्र में कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर चल रहे हैं। पिछले 10 वर्षों में हमने अपने संबंधों में कई नए आयाम जोड़े।
And a congressional briefing on plight of minorities in Pakistan was held in Washington to highlight the discrimination that minorities face in Pakistan. The event was attended by journalists, cricketers, Shia Muslims and congressmen, among others, who share details on widespread discrimination faced by Hindus, Sikhs, Christians, Ahmadis and Shia Hazaras in Pakistan. Well, former Pakistani cricketer Danish Kateria has alleged that he faced huge discrimination in Pakistan and his career was destroyed.
मेरे साथ भी ये डिस्क्रिमिनेशन वाली चीज़ हुई है, बहुत ज़्यादा हुई है, मेरे कैरियर को तबाह किया है, ख़त्म किया है और जिसकी वजह से जो इज़्ज़त इक्वल वैल्यूज़ मुझे मिलनी चाहिए थी वो नहीं मिली पाकिस्तान में, जिसकी वजह से हम यूएस में हैं अभी। मकसद वही था कि अवेयरनेस करवाना था, सबको बताना था, स्पेशली यूएसए को भी हम बताना चाह रहे थे कि कितने लोग सफ़र करते, कितना ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम है, तो उस पर ज़रा एक्शन ले।
Well, Zeba Muhammad Arif, who belongs to Shia community, talked about the women who are suffering in Pakistan and said the government is pressuring women against the minority religion.
We are here all together to speak against Pakistani government who are pressuring for minority religion and as well as people who don't have any voice, and especially we're talking about the women who are suffering in Pakistan, the country that who pressuring and women and against the minority religion.
While Indian-American U.S. Congressman Shri Thanedar urged the U.S. to condemn human rights violations in Pakistan against Hindu minorities and demand quick actions against Pakistan to ensure that these atrocities stop.
Hindu Action is having this conference in Rayburn House Office building at the U.S. Congress, and I'm here to support the Hindus and their struggle to get human rights, their struggle to stop the atrocities that are happening in Pakistan on the Hindu minorities. Many girls are being coerced to convert their religion. There has been kidnapping that has happened of Hindu people, and I am here to demand that the State Department take action, economic actions, sanctions against Pakistan until these atrocities stop.
Meanwhile, former journalist for the Wall Street Journal, Asra Nomani, recalled how Daniel Pearl was kidnapped, beheaded and cut into pieces in 2002.
I saw on the streets of Karachi, Pakistan, the tragic impact of the sectarianism that is laying claim to too many minorities. My friend and colleague Daniel Pearl was the journalist who was kidnapped and then beheaded and cut into pieces in 2002. In the decades since and until today, we have a crisis in which too many minority people in the nation of Pakistan are not allowed the rights and freedoms of being equal citizens.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. India's bullet train project, a landmark initiative aimed at transforming the country's railway system, continues to make steady progress. The first high-speed rail line in India is at the forefront of this ambitious venture. The project, once completed, will significantly reduce travel time between the two cities, providing a modern, efficient and sustainable mode of transportation. Preparation work of Asia's most popular tulip garden is in full swing in Srinagar. This year, the garden will feature over 1.5 million tulip bulbs in 73 varieties. Located at the foothills of the Zabarwan range, the garden offers breathtaking views of Dal Lake and is a major tourist attraction. The Tulip Festival, which typically lasts for 15 days to a month, showcases the beauty of tulips carpeting the terraced slopes in an awe-inspiring display of colors and fragrance. The much-awaited Falguni Utsav has begun in the picturesque Kinnaur region of Himachal Pradesh, ushering in a vibrant celebration of spring, tradition and community. This annual festival, deeply rooted in the culture of the region, marks the start of the season with joyous festivities that bring together locals and visitors alike together. Locals gather in temples and open spaces to give thanks and seek blessings for a fruitful year. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Stay with us to know how Holi, the festival of colours, is celebrated in Mathura and Vrindavan. India joins global athletes at Special Olympic World Winter Games in Turin, competing in 6 sports. And we'll also show you glimpses of Chanel's fall-winter collection, a dark, whimsical fairy tale of elegance and bold hues.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran. And moving on, stargazers in North and South America will be able to view a red-coloured blood moon starting on Thursday night in the first total lunar eclipse visible on the continents since 2022. The celestial event, observable with the naked eye, will have more than an hour of totality and can additionally be seen in parts of Western Europe and Africa as well as New Zealand. A lunar eclipse occurs when the Earth goes between the moon and the sun, casting the Earth's shadow on the moon. A rare total lunar eclipse involves the Earth's umbra, the darkest part of the planet's shadow covering the moon. According to NASA, this type of eclipse can also be called a blood moon due to the reddish-orange color the moon can become during totality. Well, the coloration occurs due to sunlight scattering through the Earth's atmosphere before reaching the moon's surface. Shorter wavelengths like blue and violet fail to reach the moon, leaving only longer wavelengths such as red and orange to illuminate it. For about an hour, both before and after totality, the moon will also be obscured in a partial eclipse. And Holi, the festival of colours, is celebrated with unmatched enthusiasm across India. However, the heart of Holi beats strongest in Mathura and Vrindavan, where the festival carries deep cultural and spiritual significance. Let's take a closer look at the traditions that make Holi truly special.
Holi signifies the victory of good over evil and marks the arrival of spring season. The festival is closely tied to the tales of Lord Krishna, particularly in Mathura and Vrindavan, where Holi celebrations are grand and unique. The famous Latmar Holi of Barsana is a striking tradition where women playfully hit men with sticks, recreating a legendary episode from Lord Krishna's life. Meanwhile, Phoolon Ki Holi, or the floral Holi in Vrindavan, fills the air with petals symbolizing peace and love. Markets are buzzing with eco-friendly herbal colors made from natural ingredients, ensuring celebrations are safe for both people and the environment. Vibrant pichkaris or the water guns in innovative designs are also drawing attention. Adding sweetness to the festivities, shops are decked with tempting trays of gujia, a traditional Holi delicacy filled with rich khoya dry fruits and flavors of cardamom, a must-have treat for the occasion. As colors fill the air this Holi, the festival continues to inspire joy, harmony, and the spirit of togetherness. A reminder that life's most beautiful moments are best celebrated with love and laughter. Kriti Varera's report for DD India.
Well, in a heartwarming display of unity and festivity, the Border Security Force personnel stationed at the Interpark border celebrated Holi with zeal, marking the spirit of the festival, with singing traditional Holi songs and participating in dance and music sessions. This celebration stood as a symbol of brotherhood among the men and women who protect the nation's borders. Also in a heartening display of women's empowerment and traditional craftsmanship, women in Chhindwara are engaged in creating herbal gulal for natural ingredients like tesu, rose and turmeric. This initiative not only promotes sustainable livelihoods but also helps preserve traditional knowledge and practices, encouraging the use of organic and locally sourced materials, reducing the environmental impact of the celebrations. Well, the Holi Abhinandan program celebrations have begun in Dehradun, marking the start of one of the most vibrant and joyous festivals. This annual event is a grand showcase of cultural heritage, community spirit and the festive essence of Holi, setting the stage for a week of festivities filled with joy, unity and cultural pride. Revelers celebrate Flower Holi in Ahmedabad, experiencing the unique and eco-friendly way the city celebrates the festival of colors. Revelers immerse themselves in traditional Gujarati music and dance performances, including Garba and Dhol beats, offering a chance to experience the local culture and community spirit. Well, you're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. Real Madrid reached the Champions League quarter-finals by beating Atletico 4-2 on penalties after a 2-2 draw following extra time on Thursday. Antonio Rudiger scored the winning penalty after Atletico's 1-0 second leg win, with Conor Gallagher scoring early and Vinicius Jr. missing a late penalty for Real. Julian Alvarez's shootout penalty for Atletico was disallowed as he accidentally touched the ball twice. Despite Jan Oblak saving a penalty from Lucas Vazquez, Marcos Llorente scored, leaving Rudiger to seal Real's win. Real will face Arsenal in the quarterfinals as they chase their 16th European Cup title. And Arsenal also advanced to the Champions League quarter-finals with a 9-3 aggregate win after a 2-2 draw against PSV on Thursday. Already leading 7-1 from the first leg, Arsenal went ahead through Alexander Zinchenko in the 5th minute, but Ivan Perisic equalized for PSV. Declan Rice restored Arsenal's lead before half-time, but the 70th minute goal earned PSV a draw, though Arsenal's progress was never in doubt. And Aston Villa cruised into the Champions League quarter-finals with 3-0 win over Club Brugge, sealing a 6-1 aggregate victory. Brugge, trailing 3-1 from the first leg, started strong but struggled after Kylian Mbappe was sent off in the 16th minute for fouling Marcus Rashford. Villa took control in the second half with goals from Marco Asensio and Ian Maatsen. Back in the Champions League after 40 years, Villa now faces a tough test against PSG, who beats Liverpool on penalties. And the Special Olympic World Winter Games are underway in Turin, Italy, with over 1,500 athletes from 102 countries. India has sent a strong contingent competing in 6 sports. DD India correspondent Narayan Singh brings us all the latest from Turin.
The Special Olympics World Winter Games are in full swing in Italy. Over 1,500 athletes from 102 countries have come together to compete in the 8 winter sports. But this is more than just competition. It's about breaking barriers, celebrating abilities, and proving that sports truly include everyone. And India is proudly part of this global event. A 49-member contingent, including 30 athletes, representing India in 6 different sports. The excitement here in Italy's Piedmont region is incredible. More than 100,000 spectators have gathered to cheer these amazing athletes. The competition is intense, but the spirit of unity and sportsmanship is even stronger. Apart from this, athletes are competing in 8 sports, including alpine skiing, snowboarding, figure skating, cross country. Each competitor has worked hard to be here and proving that no obstacle is too big when you have the will to succeed. Talking about the venues, alpine skiing is taking place in Sestre, snowshoeing also taking place in Sestre, and snowboarding, the action is taking place in Bradonicia. Cross-country skiing, the competition is heating up in Pragoletto, and figure skating is unfolding in Turin here, and the floorball, the fast-paced matches are underway in Turin in this Inalpi arena, which is just behind me. And this is about more than medals, it's about showcasing the incredible talent and determination of these athletes with intellectual disabilities. The passion, the hard work, and the energy here is truly inspiring. And these athletes are giving their best, and we will keep bringing you all the updates of Special Olympic Winter Edition from Turin.
Well, Mumbai Indian is all set to face Gujarat the Giants, the high-octane eliminator match of Women's Premier League in Mumbai on Thursday for a spot in the finals. While Giants are playing for the first time in the playoffs, inaugural champion Mumbai Indians will be hoping to get into their second final. Mumbai Indians maintains a perfect record against Gujarat the Giants, winning all 6 encounters. However, Giants, powered by its strong middle order, show that it can play spoil sport in its final league stage match and pose a stiff challenge before the Indians. And former Indian cricketer Saeed Abid Ali has passed away at the age of 83 in the United States on Wednesday. The all-rounder became part of Indian team during the late 1960s and early 1970s. He was known for his low-order batting and medium-pace bowling. Abid Ali featured in 29 test matches from 1967 to 1974, scoring 1,018 runs with 6 half-centuries. He took 47 wickets with best figures of 6 wickets for 55 runs. After retirement, he relocated to California. An Indian shuttler PV Sindhu crashed out of the prestigious All England Open Badminton Championships after losing to Kim Ka-geun of South Korea in Birmingham on Wednesday. Sindhu suffered a 21-19, 13-21, 13-21 defeat to lower-ranked Kim Ka-geun. The loss marks Sindhu's 4th early exit from the tournament since her semi-final run in 2021. Meanwhile, India's Lakshya Sen is all set to face Indonesia's Jonathan Christie in the round of 16 on Thursday. The 15th-ranked Lakshya advanced to the second round after beating Chinese Taipei's Xiuling Yang on Tuesday. And Chanel's fall winter collection unfolded like a dark, whimsical fairy tale at the Grand Palais. Tweed suits and diaphanous dresses danced down the runway adorned with black bows that fluttered like raven wings. Monochrome gave way to raspberry and mint hues as chunky knits and ravishing red tweed ensembles stole the spotlight. While glossy overcoats and puffer jackets punctuated the show as Chanel signature bows wove a spell of elegance and sophistication. The audience was left under the spell of Chanel's timeless allure. The collection's intricate details and masterful salutes whispered promises of a winter wonderland. In the world of Chanel, magic is woven into every thread. Take a look. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.